Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. So, we're going to be looking at the Solo Cup preseason power rankings. Now, this is quite an interesting topic because, we're obviously still quite far away from the season, but we do have a few preseason matches coming up. And the season will be starting on the 11th of October, so we still got 3 months left. But I thought it'd be interesting to, talk about the preseason matches and, my thinking process to putting these teams where they are. These obviously really early preseason power rankings. You can basically put them preseason power rankings because we haven't even started the preseason at this point. But we're gonna start off from bottom to top. So obviously at number 7, I put Team Unicorn. Okay, actually, first let me introduce you to all the teams. So we've got Team Unicorn, Tatties, Absolute Zero, Team Nexus, Furious Goats, Mountaintop, and Team Phoenix. So those are our 7 teams, and it will work with 14 weeks of regular season matches. And after those 14 weeks, the top 4 will advance to the playoffs in what is assumed right now to be a double elimination bracket to decide who our champion will be. So starting at number 7, I think it will be Team Unicorn. Out of the 7 teams we have, they have the lowest team average just in general. Uh, Captain is me of that team, so I'm not saying our team is bad, but what I am saying is compared to the rest of the you know competition, I think that we'll struggle against them because you know a higher SR means more experienced players, and this is the rookie season. This is like a fresh start, if you will. This squad has not really played much together. Uh, they've not been through too many trials so far. Only maybe 1 or 2 scrims at this point. So it's going to be a completely new debut for them, and I think the experience will be what will improve them. And so yeah, just learning. I think this is more of a learning curve than an actual fight for first for this team. That's why I think they'll end up 7th, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that they'll learn quicker, learn more about how this competition works with other teams who are a higher average SR than them. Coming into number 6, you've got Tatties. Now, um, I think from here on out, the rankings are really, really sort of, you know, they're not set in stone, if you will. They're not really clear cut. So all of these rankings from 1 to 6 could be very different. Like for example, Tatis could be first, or Team Phoenix could end up 6th, right? Like you get what I mean. It's just all up in the air at this point. But number 6, I'm putting Tatis. To be honest, like my main uh reason for basing these teams as they are is just the stats we have. Like stats, like averages are all that sort of stuff. That's all I have to base it on. As we see the performances in these preseason scrims, that's when we actually start to get a picture of what they're like. Tatis, I haven't heard too much about. I know that they're an OCC team, and as I was looking at the standings and everything, they actually seem very good. But I made that actually before I saw this, so you might see I put them number 6 here, but I'm really tempted to go and put them like number 4 or 5. Um, Actually, yeah, I'll probably put them number 4. Yeah, number 4. So, actually, okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change Absolute Zero to number 6 and Team Nexus to number 5 and put Tatis at number 4. So we'll start with Absolute Zero here. Absolute Zero, I have heard nothing about, basically. That's what makes me a little bit skeptical because I haven't seen them pop up in any of these, leagues, these like invitational leagues that I've seen around here, like OCC, CC, etc. So, I feel quite uncertain about them, which is why I'm not willing to, be on the hopium here and put them too high. So I'm going to put them down at number 6. Team Nexus at number 5. This team is quite interesting. I know many of the players personally because we're part of the founding members of the Scrim game series, and I know some of these players have really high skill ceilings. And some are a little bit on the shaky side, but I'm sure they'll put out their best team, meaning that they actually stand a really fighting chance of getting top 4. I think the 4th spot will be really close between Tati's Team Nexus and Furious Goods. That's my prediction at least, because I feel like these 3 teams in the middle have really high peaks, but sometimes can drop to places where it's beyond imagination. So, to be honest, I think that this team has a lot of potential in its DPS lineup, in its tank lineup. I'm not too sure about support though. I've not seen much good support play from the scrim footage and everything. Supports are a bit mediocre. Tank lineup is decent, and the DPS lineup is going to be amazing. So, I think it's if you want to compare it to something, I think it's more like the Philadelphia Fusion, where the DPS lineup is at MN3 Zest. Obviously not as good as them, but you get what I mean. Like in retrospective, where MN3 Zest monster DPS lineup, Bellostria, solid tank, but the support lineup is just not that great. You can look at it that way, putting them sort of at that fourth, fifth place. Now moving on to number 4, or the rectified number 4, is Tatties, which they jumped up 2 spots to my initial, really, like, even before I looked at any of the standings and everything from previous leagues. Tatties in the standings, from the last time I saw OCC season 4, I believe it was, they had a stage record of 5-0. Right, they had a record of 5-0 before they ended the season because of too many matches being forfeited. That is really impressive considering that some of these teams are here right now, like Mountaintop, Furious Goats. They've played these teams before and they've beaten them before. That begs the question: why am I not putting them above, someone like Furious Goats or Mountaintop? That's because I honestly don't know much about these teams. Apart from that specifically, like it's for example, San Francisco Shock. They've gone 12-0, good for them. But if you look at the kickoff clash, they just collapsed. Hangzhou Spark as well. You can compare it to them. They just collapsed in the playoffs. So I'm not willing to be too high on the Tatties here. I put them number 4. I think that's fair enough. Now moving on to number 3 are the Furious Goats, my old team. Used to play for them. It was a good community until we had some issues, and I just decided to leave the team. But it was good to an extent. I feel I haven't actually heard about their revamp because the team basically collapsed and then they just did some new scouting revamp, etc., etc. They've kept their core of captain and co-captain, and I feel like those two players are still really solid. You know, Edrix on that Lucio and Nexo Ninja, just being able to play on those hit scan DPS, I feel could really help them here. But the rest of the lineup, I actually know nothing about. Actually, uh, I've heard that they have specific Mr. Diddy Kong, who actually was our old captain, then decided to leave because of issues. That's why I became captain of the team. So you can see we're quite interlinked here. We have a very strong community around here, and I guess that's what you get with making a league. You'll find people who are connected to each other, people who know each other from past experiences. Speaking of past experiences, this is a team which I actually have not seen. Um, I've not played with, talked to ever. Right, Mountaintop. Just I'm putting them quite high up because of a higher average SR. Same with Team Phoenix, to be honest. Just a higher average SR. I know Team Phoenix quite well because we are both owned by the same group of people. So Team Unicorn and Team Phoenix are actually owned by the same group of people, which is why we know each other so well. Because we've seen scrims of each other, we've seen how we play, all that sort of good stuff. We played with each other just in competitive lobbies, etc. So I just know that Team Phoenix have some decent players, stacked in that one lobby, that one set of players. They have a lot of versatility in their options. They have at least 4 players per role, I think, which means that they have a lot of diversity in how they play. They can pull out so many compositions from that Diva composition probably to a Ryan composition. You got that's something else we have to talk about here. Because Overwatch 2 is 5v5, let's talk about how there's only going to be one tank. And that's going to be crucial to deciding how these teams play out. Because tank diff is going to be bigger than ever. If you got a bad tank, you're just losing, right? You're just losing. You're not going to be on the good end of the spectrum unless your DPS players can carry you back into oblivion. You know, um, so tank matters more in Overwatch 2 because it's only one, and I think that's where some teams will struggle more than others. I'm not saying I'm a bad tank, but I'm saying in comparison to other tanks in the league, in the cup, I'm not going to stack out as well as them. That's true for other tanks as well. I feel like as some of them have potential, really good tanks. I'm going to say all of these players are really good, but in comparison to the rest of the league, some players fall lower than others, and that's why I think it's going to make the difference. Stay tuned, guys. There will be more of these power ranking episodes coming out as we approach closer to the season, as we get past the preseason. There's might be a scrim tomorrow with us playing against Team Nexus. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That'll be the first indication of preseason. That'll be the first indication of where we see these teams start to form their composition, start to form their strategies, and we'll see their coordination and all that sort of stuff. And it'll be really interesting for us to see, and for us as spectators and players to be able to witness. So I hope you guys enjoyed these preseason power rankings. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the near future with these scrims and the cup. Right, guys, remember it's starting on the 11th of October, game week 1. We have some bangers lined up for you guys. The spiciest match of that week is probably Team Unicorn versus Team Nexus. My rivalry with that team. Knowing them, and it'll be really interesting to see how we stack up against each other in this preseason scrim and in the first match of the cup. So hope to see you guys there, and see you guys next time.